What is going on, everybody? Russell here, and I've got a PvP for you today between the blue Protoss, Charles, in the 1 o'clock position, against the red Protoss, SoulShadow, in the 3 o'clock position. So we will let this get going, and Charles throwing down the HF, no GL, in SoulShadow, smiley face. So we have both players 8 harvesters each, both players doing the pro production at the same time, and we have SoulShadow throwing down his pylon, going to block the ramp off a little bit, and we will see if he scouts correctly in the first. No, he does not scout correctly in the first little bit of it, and my bad, I'm messing up these things, and he is not up. There he goes, he has it queued, but he's okay, and we have the queue order, and he will not scout correctly until the very end. And we have Charles not deciding to wall off his ramp because it is a PvP, and usually the rush does not come till the 6-minute mark when you are adequately prepared. Other than that, like, the 3-minute mark if you're getting 6 pulled or some crazy timing like that. And we have both players throwing down their gateways at almost the exact same time, only Charles is a little bit ahead of SoulShadows, and SoulShadow just letting this probe sit here, not doing absolutely anything. And we have Charles throwing down the assimilator a little bit before, at the 14 mark, which is standard. And we have SoulShadow doing the exact same thing, assimilator down at the 14 mark, which is the exactly standard. And both of these gateways will be finishing at the same time, so we will see if both players are going to be 4-gating, which will be an interesting matchup if it does. And Charles is getting some more scouting in, seeing as to when he is going to lay down that cybernetics core. If he does decide, yes, he does decide to lay down the cybernetics core, and both players putting them down at the almost the exact same time. And both player and Shadow just now putting down his second pylon at that 16-minute mark, and we see Charles putting down the pylon here for proxy, and he's just having his probe on patrol. Sorry, I had to do that. And so we have both cybernetics cores just now finishing, but the only difference is we see a zealot coming out from Charles, and he is now chrono boosting out the warp research, and so is SoulShadow. So we're getting the exact same thing from each player at the moment, and SoulShadow getting out a Stalker instead of a Zealot in the beginning. And we have this probe in the smoke, which if you are going to go for an early rush push, if you are able to get into the smoke and the other player does not scout you, this is a very good place to put a pylon, but it is very risky at the same time. And we see Charles throwing down 3 more gateways, while we only have SoulShadow throwing down 2. So we see a 3-gate, maybe we'll see a 3-gate expand from SoulShadow for that early economic boost, but no, we are seeing a 3-gate robo from SoulShadow and a 4-gate from Charles. And this probe's still sitting here, not being detected whatsoever. And now we see the Zealot going around scouting for a proxy pylon, but the only thing is he doesn't know it's over here, or that it may be over here. And we have the 4 gates finishing for Charles, and the warp tech research finished also. So Charles getting his warp gates out at the 540 mark. If he would have been producing units at the same time that these were going, so that he warped in enough units to have almost 0 minerals and 0 gas, he would have more than a big enough force to push against just this one Stalker. Because SoulShadow's warps are a little bit off, but he will have this, he does have this robotics facility, and we do see Charles warping in his units in the back here. And we have 1 here, and Charles building this pylon here. Very risky, he needs to cancel this, and he don't know if he canceled it. I believe he did, but I'm not entirely positive. And we see Charles still streaming out some zealots down here. And we have 2 sentries from SoulShadow, so he will be able to hold this ramp off, but he needs to get back up there, and he needs to kill the probe. Probe goes down, and will he get the cancel off on this? Yes, he does not get the cancel off. Never mind, he did not get the cancel off on that. And SoulShadow, seeing what Charles has at the moment, backs up, and all he needs to really do is hold this off until his Immortal comes out, because Immortals are very strong against Stalkers. So I like the build that both players are going for, because I'm a fellow Brotoss, so we need to see some force fields here, and no, we are not seeing any force fields. He'll just split up that army, and Charles wisely backing out, and we do see SoulShadow putting that pylon there. Very, very nice, because Charles has no idea this is here. So we may see, or we will see, units warped in. Hopefully they are behind the smoke when they are warped in, and doing some heavy economic damage to Charles, because SoulShadow is behind on the economy. I don't know how, since he has more units. And yep, force field effectively blocking off the force. I did miss the little skirmish here, but if we go to the units lost tab, we only have 1 unit lost for SoulShadow and 6 for Charles. So he did lose quite a few minerals. He did lose quite a few units there, and we do see an attack coming from here up in the zealots. And these zealots are going to take out a few probes. There goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 before Charles decides to take them off. Are we going to see any more? 5, 6. And yes, we see 6 probes going down from in Charles's base. That is killing his economy right there. So we have SoulShadow just boosting up in economy right now, and coming out with 3 zealots to focus down these. I'm sorry, 3 stalkers to focus down these zealots. But are these going to be pushed off? And Charles forced to bring back his main force into his base so that he can hold this off. But we also do see the expansion going down from Charles to boost up his economy once that expansion is finished. And we do need Charles to look in here, and yes, Charles does look in here, and he destroys his pylon, but will it supply block SoulShadow? And it almost gets him to that point, so SoulShadow needs to put down another pylon, and he is getting an observer just to see as to what is going on in his base, because I do not believe that SoulShadow knows that this 4-gate is here. Yes, he does know the 4-gate is here, I'm sorry, because he did have those zealots in there, so he knew exactly what was going on in this base here. But we do have Charles not knowing really what's going on here, but other than some pylons, that's really all that there is going on right here. So we have 2 gases being mined from SoulShadow, and do we have 2 gases? Yes, we have 2 gases from Charles, and we have 2 more gases on the way for Charles too. Excuse me. And we do see Charles now starting to come back and catch up with the resource collection rate. Because he does have this expansion, he will be able to shoot ahead of SoulShadow unless SoulShadow does get his expansion, which at this time, since he did push off that initial first push, he should be able to get an expansion quite easily. And with his observer here, he does see exactly what is going on from Charles. He does see the size of this army, and he does see what is here, and he does see that this army is planning to move out or off his field, but he does not see that the expansion is down, which is very crucial, because he does see the size of this army, and he knows that if he does know this expansion is down, then he knows that Charles is a little mineral blocked. And so we do see SoulShadow attempting to move out, and will this be enough to combat what Charles has? So if we go to the units tab, we have 8 to 13, 8 to 2, and with these 13 stalkers, he should be able to focus some of these down. This Immortal, how many kills is it going to get? Not very many. He is starting to focus down these zealots, which is what he needs to do, and he needs to be attack moving, or he's going to lose too many stalkers. He's losing way too many stalkers. He's from 13 down to 8, down to 6 stalkers, down to 5 stalkers, and this Immortal has 3 kills on him because he's a boss. And we have still only the 2 sentries still up. He is left to 1 stalker. He needs to back up. He needs to get out of here. He needs to save this Immortal so he doesn't lose this later in the game. And just a force field going down for no apparent reason. But a decisive victory for Charles here, because I don't know what SoulShadow was doing, but he lost. He went from 13 stalkers to 0 back to 3. So SoulStalker losing a lot of units there, as we can go from the resource. Actually, it's not too bad. It's kind of even now. But the only reason it's kind of even now, but SoulShadow is a little bit ahead. But Charles did have those 750 minerals lost in the, well, 750 resources lost in the beginning of the game. But we do see SoulShadow losing almost 3.5 or 3,500 minerals. But he is moving out to finally secure his expansion here. And will these units detect this pylon or not? And we do see, finally we see a Colossus, and we see a Warp Prism. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? That's exactly what I was thinking. Okay, so we're going to see SoulShadow drop down a Colossus in Charles' base. But will he see this? No, he doesn't see it. And it's in the smoke. Tell me you dropped the Colossus in the smoke, please. SoulShadow is, yes, SoulShadow dropping the Colossus in the smoke, using this Colossus also to scout and kill his production. And I don't know what he's doing with the Colossus. Okay, so the Colossus is taking one probe out and needing to back up because these stalkers are now in range. And these stalkers do have blinks, so Charles is showing SoulShadow that, hey, I got blink. So Colossus needs to go home, and he's pulling all of his probes off the line for longer than what he needed to. And his second base is getting very saturated right now. He does need to be building more probes here because he has more than enough resources to, and SoulShadow is still getting very valuable scouting in with this observer. But he needs to be moving it around the base so we can see as to what's going on after that little Colossus attack. But we see Charles going stalker heavy, and we do see Charles now building a Robo Bay because he does know that there are stalkers, and for a Robo Bay to be going down, that could mean only one thing, possibly Immortals, or an observer to see as to what's going on. And we do have the stalker coming, the Colossus coming back down here to harass, and will this Warp Prism go down? And the Warp Prism goes down, and he loses that Colossus. So Charles doing a big deal of damage to Soul by taking out that Warp Prism and making him lose that Colossus. If we go back to the units lost tab again, we do now have SoulShadow up to 4125 resources lost. It's a huge blow to him losing that Colossus because he does need those Colossus for these to take care of the Zealots. As long as he does have this army in front to kind of block his Colossus with force fields, then Colossus do great amount of damage to both Zealots and Stalkers. As long as he does have the other units to protect his Colossus. But then again, Colossus are kind of like that with almost any race you play against. As long as you have units to protect your Colossus, they smoke Marines, Zerglings, any light armored unit, they pretty much decimate. Actually, almost any unit they decimate, even armored sometimes. But it all depends on what composition you have with your units. Do you have, like if you're going up against Terran, do you have force fields up over your Colossus? If you're going up against Zerg, do you have some force fields to block any Hydras from getting us around on you if they do have Hydras? And we are finally seeing Charles bring out an observer to see as to what's going on. And what is he seeing here? And he is seeing the Robo-Pay, and he still only sees these 3 gateways. So SoulShadow not really transitioning out of the 3-gate Robo with the second expansion. He is able to now handle more gateways with the second expansion because he does have that increased mineral production. And Charles just stopping this over here, and we are seeing, let's go back to the production tab, we're seeing SoulShadow doing more production than what Charles is doing. So we see now 2 Colossi on the field, and neither unit now producing any sort of units. I'm sorry, neither player now producing any sort of units. And if we go here, we have, let's go back to the unit tab, we have 19 Stalkers, 2 Colossus, 1 Immortal, 19 Stalkers, 10 Zealots. So both players actually having the same amount of probes also with 32, and we are now seeing Charles with 23 Stalkers and 10 Zealots. I'm not sure if this will be enough, but he does have +1 damage and +1 armor to his units. And is he researching level 2? No, he is not researching level 2, but he does have the capability to do that. But he does have +1 and +1 for both, and I just had a huge case of deja vu. Don't ask me why, but I feel like I just had a case of deja vu. Anyways, back to the case at hand. We are now seeing this pylon go down. Poor little pylon. But, oh, what was this? Oh, he sees this, and will he focus this down? And sad day for an observer. The observer goes down, and finally the pylon is going to be taken out. And we are seeing unit composition still 23-10, 22-2-1-2. That sounded pretty badass, not gonna lie. 22-2-1-2. Sorry. but he does have the correct unit composition to protect his Colossus to do the maximum amount of damage as long as these sentries are with the Colossus at the point of the battle. And Charles still only going Stalker and Zealot heavy. And if we go to the production tab, he is researching level 2 and level 2 for both weapons, and he's throwing down 3 more gateways. So we have Charles on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, almost 10 gateway here. But unfortunately for Charles, SoulShadow sees exactly what he's doing. So SoulShadow is moving out because he does see heavy units being, well, heavy buildings being put down. So he is seeing 450 resources being thrown down right here on these gateways. So, and then he is moving out to see as to what the size of the army is, and he has to gauge, is he ready to take this on? Does he have the ability to take this on? And both players throwing down in the third nexus almost the exact same time. But we do see SoulShadow moving out, and I believe he will be able to hold this off, even though he only has +1 to weapons. But that's more than enough with this army size, with this unit composition, as long as he uses those force fields and shields correctly. As long as he uses the force fields to block off the zealots and uses the shields to protect his Colossus from incoming range from the stalkers, because it does reduce range by 2. So we are going to see the battle commence here, and we do see these. I'm going to just have these Colossus queued up, and we are seeing Stalkers blinking. What he needs to be doing is focusing down these Colossus, but no, he is not even doing anything to his Colossus. He's just letting his Stalkers attack, and he is losing almost every single Stalker. We have one Colossus with 4 kills, one Colossus with 3 kills. This Immortal is just having a heyday with 9 kills, and he is pushing him back, and he's warping in more units, but his units are being destroyed before they're even warped in, and it just does not look good for Charles at this point in time. Charles's army is just completely annihilated, losing those pylons, will be losing this nexus if he does not, and he is pulling his probes off the line, but to try and get a surround, last-ditch effort on these, but no, he is losing every single probe of those, and there goes the nexus, and now SoulShadow is moving in. No, he's not moving into his main base, he's taking down these other probes because he did see them going out to this expansion here, and Charles is going to be losing this expansion. I do not know how he's going to be able to hold this off. He does not have enough resources to warp in any units of any consequence to deal with this army, and we have 11 kills on this Colossus and 12 on this, and we have 16 kills on this Mortal. So all of these 3 units, heavy 3 units, paying very well for themselves, and Charles throwing down the GG. This was a very interesting PvP. We had both players going almost the exact same build in the beginning, other than the differentiation here from SoulShadow going into the 3-gate Robo. So we had the Immortal coming out to help against this first attack from Charles. The only problem that Charles, well, I can't really say the only problem was he did take his units off when he had a much bigger army and sent them back here to deal with these 3 zealots. All he should have really done was warp in a few units and attacked at the same time. So that would have deterred SoulShadow from focusing on these zealots to take out these probes, because he would have been getting attacked from Charles's main force in the beginning here. So Charles, we're seeing both good play from both players. What we could have seen from SoulShadow, I know I say we could have seen coulda, shoulda, woulda type thing quite a bit, but SoulShadow having more than enough resources off of 2 base to build more than 3 gateways, and also could have seen a quicker expansion from both players. Well, actually a quicker expansion from SoulShadow after pushing off against that initial first push, and then once he did realize that Charles's main army was coming back to his base when he had all those Stalkers in him, and all those Zealots, to defeat the 3 Stalkers and 3 Zealots that he did warp in. So we are seeing, and this is another late expansion, and the second expansion, a little late, could have been a little bit earlier, so maybe a little bit more saturation on his mineral line, and taking some of these units off of his. But very good very good unit composition from SoulShadow here, getting the Colossus, Sentry, Immortal, Heavy Army with those. I'm sorry, Colossus, Sentry, Stalker, Immortal, Heavy Army with those sentries to protect, just in case he needed to use the shields, and he did use the shields, but neither Colossus taking almost any damage from any unit, because when Charles did blink in, he didn't focus fire down the Colossus. If he would have focus fired those Colossus, it may or may not have been a different story. It would have swung either way at that point. So yeah, we're seeing fairly decent PvP. I believe this was a silver game that was sent to me, and we're seeing good expansions and yep, good expansions from both players, though a little bit late on the timing there, and some good countering here from SoulShadow, building that mortal, getting it out as quick as possible once that robo bay was down. No, I'm sorry, once that robo facility was down. So yeah, and we also had this observer just eyeing everything that Charles was doing. So some decent play from both players. So don't forget to leave a comment. Don't forget to thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe. I would love you a long time. So I will catch you guys on the flip side.